Welcome, welcome team. This is a ZPARK processing Excel query using ESR, MATSIT, and ZPARK. Let's look at report. The report is everything that is in ZPARK. And it'll give you a what gets a go and what gets a no-go. And a total of everything. It could be divided into class, requirement priority, request type, and status. Additionally, it will have the units that they belong to. The ZPARK tab is basically the complete ZPARK. It's just laid out in a table. And again, the same thing. It could be displayed as to what it is. If it's for a pacing item, for ERC A, shop stock, bench stock, POL, services, and excess. Let's go into the ESR check. The ESR check consists of checking parts on hand, release strategy, initial issue, reporting, and priority. The way you see them now, everything is being bypassed. So none of these checks are being done. If you want to check it, press 1 to check or 0 to bypass. Once you check it, let's turn on the parts on hand, the release strategy, and the initial issue. Once you do that, you right click within the table and refresh. If you click the data and refresh, it'll take longer because it's going to check all the queries. By pressing on these checks, it is only the ESR that's being checked. Because we turn all those 3 on, it's going to tell us what's being hold for parts on hand. So this purchase request, this reservation, they're requiring 1, but they have 10 on hand. And this one has 3 on hand. So this one gets a hold for parts on hand. If you want to send it, all you have to do is make this a 1, make it a 0, and it'll be sent forward. It's not going to be held. I'll explain that later on. And these are the ones that are being held for initial issue. In these, you will go and you will check to see if they have any comments saying that they uploaded the memorandum to the work order. And if they did, or if you don't see the comment, you go into IW32 and you take the work order and you check to see if they attached a memorandum in the work order saying that a memorandum in the work order. And then the other check is release strategy. Let's look at the holds. And in the release strategy, you would check to see if there's any remarks. If there's remarks justifying why they need the release strategy, then you mark it a go. You come over here and then you mark it a go if that is the only thing that's wrong with it, or if everything else is going to be a go. Now let's check the reporting checks. 1 for check. And let's right click and refresh. And it's going to take a couple of seconds to refresh. And now we have the reporting, everything that received a hold, that received the hold and reporting, and the reason why. These are admin deadline. They are FMC. They are not waiting on deadlining NMCS parts. That's why they're getting a no-go for reporting. Diagonal, and it's a 1 for NMC part. This one is a deadline, but it's NMC maintenance. If it's NMC maintenance, why are they ordering something? They need to correct that. The final check we're going to turn on is the priority check. And let's refresh it. And it's going to take a couple of seconds. And now let's look at the holds for priority. Now for priority, this is highlighted because it is being held for the reporting type. So these are the priorities. These ones are being held because they are for a V5.3 unit. If you want to leave it like this, so you could check them one at a time, or you can make it an automatic change so that whenever a V5.3 unit orders something, it will go automatically. Or you can leave it like this so that you can make the determination if you want to let the order be ordered on the FAT3 unit, or if you want to change it to one of your regular S-logs, so it becomes a FAT2 unit. And that is the priority check. And looking at all of them, this is what is being sent automatically. Automatically, these are the ones that are being held automatically. These ones are being held automatically. And if you want to make it a go, you would choose this status over here, 1 for hold and 0 for send. And these ones right here are being sent automatically. And again, you can make it a hold or go on. But in these ones, you could come and check. You can make additional checks to see if the quantity that's being ordered is excessive. That was the quantity in hand. If the quantity that's being ordered is excessive, you could check those things. You could check to make sure that the material matches the fault. You could check to see if the fault is actually a fault. You could check to see if the deadline is a fault. You could go and check only deadlining equipment and then look at the fault and say, is this a deadline? Engine will not start is definitely a deadline. Hose leaking, what type of a hose is it? What type of a leak is it? This one says class 3. This one, she said which class leak it is. You could check the other ones to see what kind of faults there are. You will have time for this. As you can see, this is fairly quick. So you could take additional time to make sure that everything is on the up and up. And any deficiencies you could find, you could direct to your battalions or your companies and let them know, hey, this is being done wrong. This is how it gets fixed. And then you could conduct training based on what it is that they're doing. So if you go to the report and we refresh the report is going to tell us how many received a go and how many received a go automatically. So automatically, 20 PRs received a go and 140 PRs received a no-go. And it tells us the class and if it's a ERC P, ERC A, or if it's critical fleet. Nothing here is critical fleet. But if you go to the ESR and you make all the no-goes or the sends, if you don't want to send them and you make them a no-go, you have the type either 1 or 0. It's not going to accept anything else. You make all of them a no-go and you go to the report and you refresh the report. Then the 29 goes are not going to be 29. They're going to be 9. And then you take this, and if this is legitimate and this is all you want, and you send it to S8, then S8 will double click on the 9 and it will show them what the 9 purchase requests are. And then this is what they will send forward to get funded. Let's delete this page. And in the same token, if you want to make everything a go, you just highlight everything a 1, a 0, and you paste it all the way down. All the way down. So everything is a go. So when you go to the report and you refresh it, again, if it is a whole division, it's going to take longer. If it is a brigade that has a lot of purchase requests, it is going to take a lot longer, but only a few seconds longer, not a lot. So now we have everything is to go, and then S8 could prioritize based on how much money they have to spend. And they could go, an example is, my S8 knew that number one priority was O2 priority, pacing items. That's number one priority. And the second priority was not Alpha, was not ERC A, it was POL. So S8 knew what the priorities were and where to spend the money. So and S8 knew that everything was being checked, everything was being vetted. So these are the checks that are done in the ESR check. So let's delete this column and let's leave the default checks. Let's move on to the SSL BSR processing. Here, we are going to check if a purchase request is tied to a material that is labeled correctly, either as bench stock or shop stock. And furthermore, if it is shop stock, if it meets the SSL line limit, regulatory requirement is 150, unless it is authorized to be more by the first general officer in command. So as default, we leave it as 50. And then the limit for the cost of shop stock is something that should be developed within your local policy to see what the limit is. But normally it's around $500, because if it is more than $500, it is not. It is pricey. The cost limit does not apply to POL or services or service kits. So if it's a POL kit, if it's a service kit or a POL, it doesn't matter the price. It'll send it forward. So let's refresh it, because I changed the line to 150 from 300. And again, the same thing as with the ESR. If you refresh it from here, it's quicker. And in the key, you could put individual lines per SLOC, because you might have an SLOC that's authorized 300 lines, but the other ones are only authorized 150 or 200 lines. If there is no limit in the key, then this is the limit that it's going to take. So now let's move into the checks. Let's look at the shop stock. This one is Zulu Victor, but they have 440 lines of shop stock, and they only authorize 150, so it gets a hold. So all these right here is that. This one, they only have 131 lines, so it gets a go, it gets a send. The same thing for this one, 131 lines and send. That is for all of these, is because of that. They have, it looks like they just did an inventory and they accepted everything. Bench stock, they're all a hold because of the valuation price. As you can see here, we have the valuation price as $1. That is, it's not $1. It should be more than $1. Let's set it at 500 and let's refresh the query so that it takes that 500 into consideration. Now that we change the price and run the query again, now all these are sent and these ones are a hold right here. These ones are getting a hold because these items are for the common shop stock and it is in excess within the brigade, meaning that the other units within the brigade have excess of these, so that you know that when someone is ordering something, they're ordering, but there's 12 in excess throughout the brigade. Excess. So that means that it should be cross-loaded to the brigade to see if the inventories are correct, to see if they have it on hand, to do all these checks, and to generate training. And in this case, if you have this, you could take the material number and you could go to the excess sheet over here and the material, and you could filter by that material number. And then it tells you each one of these is one battalion, one SLOC that has it. So it shows you all the SLOCs that have it. So currently, these 3 SLOCs have that material on hand as excess. Let's reset this filter. Okay. These are the POL. They all get a go. These ones are a go. These ones are a go because they order this POL as SSL. This shows that they just recently did an inventory and demand analysis, and they just accepted everything. These are service kits, and this is excess. All this is excess because it's not bench stock and it's not shop stock. Or if it's bench stock, it exceeds the cost. And the same thing as the same thing as with the ESR, which you could label it. If you make everything a 0, and you go to the report and you refresh it, then all this should become a let's go to the ESR now and make everything here go so we could show something else. Zero. Let's go to the report. So everything is a go. Everything in ShopStack is a go. Everything in the ESR is a go. And now we have 4 no-goes. And those are in the manual check. The manual checks are work orders. This is a reservation. This is the work order that are either closed or have no technical status. So they closed the order incorrectly, and then they deleted the material from it, so it generated a PR, or the PR already generated. So there's a PR attached to a work order that's closed, or that is has no status. So if it's closed and has no status, it does not show up in the ESR. So if it doesn't show up in the ESR, then you can't check it through the ESR. And because it's a work order, it's not going to show up as a 999 reservation. And here you will see the work orders, and you are also going to see the offline transactions. And again, at the end, you're going to have a choice if you want to pass it or not. If you want to pass them, these one, I don't know why you anywhere want to pass it, but let's say you want to pass it, you pass everything, and then you right click here, you refresh this, and then everything is going to be a go. And then your S8 will just choose how much money they want to spend. They want to spend everything, they'll click here, double click here, and they will get 129 purchase requests. That will be a go. Let's delete this. And if they only want to, if they have a limited amount of funds, they could just choose SSL, and it'll give them a go for that. And another tab that's here that we're going to discuss is excerpts. These are the regulations that support the automatic holds. Except for part, there is no regulation for parts on hand, but it's parts on hand. And the release strategy is a G-Army business rule. And it's not a hold because that is a job of the release strategy manager to make it a go or a no-go. Our job, our responsibility is to make sure that there's a comment attached to it so that the release manager could actually make an educated decision on what he or she is passing. And if you don't want to check it, all you have to do is bypass that check. Don't make it so complicated. Bypass it so you will not deal with it. And that is everything that's for ZPARK processing. Here is where the address of the files are at. This is where mine is at right now, in this folder. So the queries belong here. So you have to make sure that you choose one behind, copy this, and then once you paste it here, make sure that at the end of this, you got the backslash, // this slash. If you don't have this, and you run and you refresh everything, you go to data. Let's just only refresh the ESR. You go to refresh the ESR. It's going to give you an error. So make sure that you have the correct name, because it's not going to find it. And then when you go to refresh it, it's not going to give you an error because it has the correct name. So team, this is one of the best tools I've ever had that helped me when I was doing ZPARK at my brigade. At first, it was tough doing this manually, and it was not accurate. Using this, we get accuracy, we get consistency, and we get time to actually look at it and see what training we could recommend so that soldiers learn how to do their jobs correctly. Nobody gets up in the morning to do things wrong. Everything we do, we are doing it because we think it's right. This is just pointing out where the mistakes are being made so that we could tailor the training and our operating systems within the companies and battalions so that we use GCS as Army the way it is intended to be used. If we use this, we are not going to produce excess. Guaranteed. Without this, all you see is ZPARK with a whole bunch of reservations, and we have to guesstimate if it's a valid reservation or not. And if we don't want to guesstimate, we are going to have to go and look at the ESR, we have to look at the MATSIT, we have to look at all these fields. And if you have 100, 200, 1,000 PRs in one day, you will not be able to do that. So this is the tool that keeps us away from the desk. And when we go to the desk, it's quick, and then we develop training material. Because we are not here to do, we're here to train. We're here to make sure that our soldiers are trained. But in order to train them, we have to make sure that we give them relevant information. And then once we tell them, hey, this is the way it's supposed to be done, we need to do the follow-up and check to make sure that they're doing it. And this will work. It is guaranteed that the first day that you send back to them because they have parts on hand, and you do that for a couple of days, they're gonna get the point. They're gonna get it. As you can see in this brigade right here, they have 2 purchase requests for parts on hand. It wasn't like that. It was not like that. And all it takes is them knowing that we are checking and us checking. And it is easy. The hardest thing is downloading the ESR, the MATSIT, and the ZPARK. And once we do that, all we have to do is hit the refresh button and everything gets updated, and we check everything else and make some changes, make some recommendations, and send them forward. Hey team, thank you for your time. If you have any ideas, let me know. If you need any products, if you want me to improve something that you have, find me on Global, send me a text message, send me an email, comment down below, subscribe, share, and like. Thank you.